Hello, dear friends, and welcome to Shakespeare Reviews, the movie review show where we take the works of William Shakespeare as envisioned through a prism of cinema. Sometimes they're directly related, it's a one-to-one. Other times it's a loose adaptation. And then sometimes you get this movie, the 2011 feature film Gnomeo and Juliet, 3D computer-animated fantasy romantic comedy directed by Kelly Asbury and starring the voice talents of James McAvoy, Emily Blunt, Michael Caine, Jason Statham, Maggie Smith, Ashley Jensen, Stephen Merchant, Matt Lucas, Jim Cummings, Julie Walters, Richard Wilson, Patrick Stewart, and Ozzy Osbourne. This movie is a freaking crazy train. I mean, seriously. How do you get all of that talent into this movie? We're going to talk about that a bit as well. But basically, here's your quick synopsis. In Stratford-upon-Avon, my hometown, elderly neighbours Miss Montague and Mr. Capulet despise each other. When they leave their respective gardens, the garden gnomes and other lawn ornaments come alive. Hilariousness ensues. Andrew, your thoughts.
Hilariousness ensues in that tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. Yes, they really went out of their way to say tragedy. I don't think so. So yeah, they went the other way, and I have to say there are so many things I loved about this movie.
The soundtrack for one.
The soundtrack was great, of course. Yeah, Elton John, wonderful, and executive producer of the film.
Was he really? I didn't see that.
Yes, he was. This was he was a huge part of the making of this film.
I know that he was nominated for Best Original Song for this.
Yes, and it was great. Now, it started with a wonderful little bit with a little garden gnome coming out on a stage, a nice homage to the play that it was from. And the first line made me laugh so hard. He says, "The story you are about to see has been told before. A lot. And now we are going to tell it again, but different." And I just died. And it just kept going from there. It was hilarious. They handled the whole Shakespeare part of it. They handled the changes that they made from Shakespeare so well by one of the main characters getting a debate in a debate with the statue of William Shakespeare. Wonderful.
That's one of my favorite bits in this.
It really was. And not just because it was Patrick Stewart playing William Shakespeare. Not just because. That was just gravy.
All right. Thank God that was animated, because otherwise I need to just throw in the towel right now. It's like you have Sir Pat Stew being me, William Shakespeare. And it's just like, oh, come on! Patrick Stewart!
That's unfair! Yeah, right? But no, I mean, this movie, there are so many movies we've looked at before that have been like, I see what they were trying to do, or they didn't get the right people involved, or something like that. This is one of those where it was done so right on so many levels. And I'm going to start with the director real quick, Kelly Asbury. Mm-hmm. I mean, a phenomenal animation pedigree. He started in the visual department as a visual development artist on movies like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Rescuers Down Under, and went on to direct films. I mean, he took a risk and did this not very well-known film, Shrek 2, and directed that. So, I mean, he's
Shrek 2 I enjoy far better than the first one, actually.
I would agree. I think that it's really hard to do a sequel, and they kicked butt with that. And he's definitely a part of it, because I think he was part of the whole process with Disney's resurgence in the late 80s and early 90s. So he gets how to make something that maybe isn't even perfect work great. And he was part of that magic in that process. A brilliant casting job for this as director. I guess casting is not exactly the word, but finding a director. And the way he cast the film was brilliant too. He didn't look at anybody. He just listened to voices. He didn't say, who is that? No, he just went, okay, give me the voice. Okay, the next voice. And he picked the one he liked. Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why the names are so diverse, because he went with who sounded the best. I mean, yeah, let's be honest. He could tell who Michael Caine's voice, because everybody can tell Michael Caine's voice. And Patrick Stewart, no brainer. But I think some of them were were just because they sounded right to him, and it shows. And it really, there's so many parts of this that feel great. So I'm going on and on. Go ahead. I mean, talk about it. I mean, it was your choice.
Well, the voice talent is one portion of why this film was a rather expensive CGI movie to render. It was a $34 million budget. Quite a bit of that going towards your top tier name brand voices. Sir Pat Stew, Maggie Smith. I mean, how do you think they got Maggie Smith? I mean, honestly.
They told her she didn't have to go in front of camera. She just had to do voice work, and that was an easy sell.
It had to have been, because Michael Caine will do anything. I mean, he'll do a toothbrush commercial for you. I think he may have. Sir Pat Stew will likewise do much of anything, because he's got a ground sense of humor and does animation a lot. Most notably with Seth MacFarlane on American Dad. But Ozzy Osbourne and Maggie Smith in the same... That's the part that boggles the mind. It's like Crazy Train, Professor McGonagall. Let's come together.
I thought Hulk Hogan and Dolly Parton were the actual surprises for me, honestly. I mean, we've got a really good British cast here. I'm really liking all of these people, and we need something else. Hulk Hogan and Dolly Parton. That'll round it out. That makes it perfect. That makes a perfect circle right there.
Oh, by the way, Dolly Parton, just freaking national treasure. I love her.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Very much so.
Oh, but just so much of this was just whimsical, and they leaned into it.
Yes.
Does this make sense? No. Keep going. Great.
They not only leaned into it, they lawnmowered over it. They took care of it. I mean, at the very beginning, when there was the whole garden gnome concept, I mean, the first thought that went through my head was, wow, I've never really thought about it, but garden gnomes are like the new version of a flamingo, in people's yards. People really love garden gnomes. And then who shows up? A flamingo halfway through the movie. And I'm like, wow, it's just like they know me. I don't understand. It was perfect. I mean, there were so many elements that just were interwoven together that worked so well. It was it's hard to describe how good it was.
Yeah, it did not feel to me like a children's movie.
No.
I mean, yes, you could. I mean, obviously, children friendly. It's kid friendly.
Very.
I mean, but this felt like some of the more grand, dare I say it, Disney films that have the appeal to the little ones, but also to mom, dad, Gamma, Gaffer over there, and just anybody in between. It's so knowingly silly without actually saying, look what we're doing. I mean, they're not being precious about it. They're just having fun with it.
Yes.
And like Toy Story is that way.
Yes.
This reminds me of Toy Story.
That's a good point.
It knows exactly what it's doing. It wants you to kind of laugh along with them while never pointing out that they're doing it.
I think a little more farcical than Toy Story.
Absolutely.
Definitely. But it definitely has that same type of fun vibe. Yeah, totally. Completely. And
like Toy Story, it's got a sequel.
Yes. Wow. I really wasn't expecting to like this as much as I did.
I have not seen the sequel, by the way.
I haven't either yet, and I'm going to now, though. After watching this, I'm going to watch the sequel because, honestly, it deserves the chance.
The Sherlock Gnomes. It's like, all right, let's take Gnomeo and Juliet, which is basically the Romeo and Juliet story, and add in a detective.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, because I'm a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes in virtually every iteration. So I am not quite a Baker Street irregular. However, I love Sherlock. I love Elementary. I love the Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmeses. I love the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. I love them all. I love the young Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yes, classic.
I love all of it, and so I'm very excited. I'm very excited to watch Sherlock Gnomes.
Yes, maybe we should put that as one of our special movies as a follow-up movie to review.
Oh yeah,
I think so. Just
Shakespeare movies that got a weird sequel.
Yes, Yes, yeah, I think that's a good route. I mean, it's Sherlock Holmes. It's still British. It's still good. It's still good.
It's still good. It's still good. It's still good.
Oh man, there were so many wonderful little bits to give a nod to Shakespeare, such as the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Moving Company, and all of these different bits. And yeah, I mean, and they were so quick. You probably, the first watching, you did not notice them all. You just won't. But if you keep watching, I mean, you just see new things each time, and they put that extra level of detail into an animated film, which I think goes to prove what you said, that this is not exactly a children's film. It's children friendly, but it's for all ages, and it works. I
feel that goes along with most Shakespeare. It's not a show just for adults. It's a show for everyone.
Yes,
with a few notable exceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my parents started taking me to Shakespeare plays when I was like 10 years old, and I got it. So I think you're right.
Yeah, and I perform at Renaissance fairs for incredibly diverse audiences, and I do school shows for kindergartners, but then also for high school seniors and college students, and they all get the same joy and silliness out of it. That it is for everyone. It is for all. And I admire that so greatly much, that they just leaned into that, and it was so effective. And also just color coding the teams.
Red versus
blue.
Right, the classic. And the way the history behind it and how they had it make sense was it was subtle, and they don't delve into it, but it's still believable in some ridiculous way. You're kind of like, I could see this happening on the street. It was really interesting. The level of detail and background they put into this is impressive. And I think the box office shows it. Domestically, they made it was really close, $100 million. But internationally, and the whole shebang, it was closer to $200 million. And
yeah, it was $194 million worldwide.
Yeah, so that's
what it grossed.
Not bad for a Shakespeare adaptation.
No, the better halls.
Yeah, not exactly the best animated Shakespeare adaptation in halls. Lion King, but it's still, it's up there. And this was a very odd Disney animated film because it was released.
Oh, by the way, are we going to be doing Lion King?
Oh yeah, we're going to be doing Lion King.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
That wasn't just a tease where I'm not going to deliver. Don't worry, people. I'll do this. We'll do this. But no,
if you had said that and then we don't get it, I would have quit the show right here.
Right.
People would have seen me just walk off.
No. I think it was good to kind of throw it out there as a little tease, but it's a teaser for later, not for me to be a jerk. So don't worry. We're good. But no. This movie, it was released under Touchstone by Disney.
Yes.
Because a lot of the weird Miramax being sold 10 years ago kind of thing really played havoc with who owned the rights to movies. Disney retained the rights, but they didn't release it straight under their standard animation department. It was animated
got involved.
Yeah, it was animated by a Canadian animation group who's mostly known for doing Nickelodeon stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was really,
and it has that Nickelodeon look, and I was genuinely surprised to see Disney involved with this,
right?
Because it's like, it doesn't feel like a Disney movie.
And this was Disney's big animated film of the year because this was a sleeper hit. So
yeah, but in so many ways, it didn't. I mean, it did, but did not feel like a Disney movie in terms of the humor. In terms of, the humor was similar to Toy Story, but Toy Story was very nearly not.
Yeah.
I mean, Pixar was not owned by Disney at the time. They were in an alliance, and then seeing all the different levels this went through. So, would it have been better even if it had been done fully in-house or taken over by Pixar? I mean, same script, but then
you're talking about a guy, Kelly Asbury, director, who had who had gone through Disney. He directed a DreamWorks project, he'd gone through. I mean, he was able to draw from.
And I actually thought that this had been a DreamWorks project.
Yeah, it kind of looked like it.
I didn't see the logo anywhere.
Yeah, it felt like that a lot. I think he drew from what was best from everybody and tried to put that together, and it shows. I mean, it's a really good gem, and for the bargain basement price of what'd you say, 34 million, 35, something like that.
$34 million.
$34 million for the budget. So yeah, for this type of movie, oh my gosh! I mean, compare that to the budget of Shrek. I mean, come on, this was a huge bargain and a phenomenal film. So yeah, definitely. I could keep going on about this, but I feel like I can just call it right now and say must see and leave it alone. I mean, I don't know what you're.
We sure can, and then this episode can balance out our long extravaganzas.
Right. This is our gift to you. I can go on and on, but I'm taking away from your time to actually see this film, and I don't want to do that.
It is truly grand, and this is the type of movie that studios should be making more of. And I don't mean animated. I mean in terms of the budget and the high caliber cast and the really good story altogether. This is your mid-range smart film. It's not true bargain basement price. Let's call that a $5 to $10 million. And it's obviously not an indie film with $1 million or less budget. But it's not $100 million budget powerhouse feature film. It's not The Avengers, obviously. It's not one of the crazy Marvel movies or Mission Impossible or anything like that. This is that nice middle range movie that they don't make that many of anymore.
No.
And
this is a feel good film. They don't make enough of it.
It really is, except for the silliness that you can only truly make happen with animation.
Yeah.
Tibble shattering, for instance. This is the type of picture that you could do live.
Yes.
I mean, you could play just embiggen everything through either sets or special effects later in post-production, but put everybody in the costumes, give them a glossy sheen for the makeup, and they could all play the gnomes, and it would be just as good.
Probably.
I really think that, because the script
the
was
writing
so
is so
smart,
good. Yes.
and the directing was spot on, and the performances were all top notch. Ozzy Osbourne, Ozzy, Ozzy. I mean, seriously.
As the garden deer. I mean, come on. That's fun. I mean, I wouldn't have. Wow.
So, it's a short episode today, because what can you say about something that's fantastic other than just continue to extemporize about how wonderful it is?
Yeah.
And if you want me to do that for the next 12 minutes, I will.
I mean, the only thing I can say that might be negative, I guess, if I had to really, really, really nitpick, is I think it would have been interesting to get a little more backstory in some of the in some of the whole history of the whole Montague Capulet kind of feud that was going on there, and how that happened. I mean, they allude to it, and they do a good job with that. I think a little more backstory might have been interesting. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it would have been important, but I don't think it would have hurt if they'd done it either. So
I
might have been nice.
I like not having it.
Okay.
I like leaving it the effect of they know what they did.
Maybe maybe at the end when they go when they come back home to the house and see their backyards and go not to spoil it for people, but just to come out and do that. It's maybe have a little bit of a backstory from that, as sort of maybe at the ending kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, and that's like I'm saying, that's me nitpicking to the extreme. If I had to be obsessive about finding something, and if that tells you how, you know me, I'm fairly critical of movies. No, it's true. So if that's all I can come up with, that should tell you a lot.
You know what? Nothing I say will improve this interview.
Right?
will improve this review from here on out. So
no.
I will give this a really good review. What should I give it? I will give it the full Bill Shakespeare statue.
Wow.
The full Sir Pat stew. Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to give it worth the cost of a Terraforminator.
The Terraforminator! The best name ever. Oh
right,
my God.
Right? With Hulk Hogan doing the announcing for it. Awesome. Yeah.
Oh.
That was the super souped up lawnmower that they ordered in there, just to
It's
let you
like-
know.
I'm watching them like, are they doing... Going? Yes, they did.
They did that. And
They-
it was
okay.
hilarious.
And again, they leaned into it. It's a stupid joke. It's such a stupid joke. And they leaned into it so hard. So giving it everything.
You have to
It
learn into
became
those
brilliant.
curves when you're driving a lawnmower
It's like-
at top speed.
It became brilliant.
It really did.
Ah,
It really did. They took a bit and made it an integral part of the plot. And
it
is
so good.
once again brilliant. So yeah, definitely a must see for everyone. Yeah. So go see it. Come on, go. What are you doing? The show's over now.
Yeah.
Go see it.
Go.
Yeah.
Because never was a story with more woe than this of Juliet and her Gnomeo. You see what I did there?
Right.
Friends, if you've enjoyed this review half as much as we've enjoyed giving it to you, then we've obviously enjoyed it twice as much as you do. And that's called maths. And that being the case, whatever you feel the show is worth, a 1, a 5, a 10, for a 50, we will come out and drive the Terraforminator on your front garden this Sunday. Throw it into our hat. And by hat, I mean go to our Patreon, patreon.com/lifesaffair. And donate to the show, because we got people we want to pay, and we have entertainment we want to give you. So thank you for that. Follow us on all the things: Facebook, Instagram, maybe a Snapchat. I don't know. Are people still doing Snapchat? I'm not. I never did. But also, if you want to follow me, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, you can do so on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Shakespeare Approves everywhere. You can follow and go like and subscribe on YouTube. Click the bell, ring the button, or strike that reverse, do the things. If you want to donate to my livelihood, go to patreon.com/Shakespeare or coffee.com/Shakespeare. And Andrew, where can the people find you?
Oh, you can find me on facebook.com/The Irish Bard, patreon.com/Irish Bard. You can hear some of my music on theirishbard.bandcamp.com. And yeah, as always, there's facebook.com/Life's Affair, where we do wonderful shows like this one.
Exactly. So until next time, dear friends and companions, this was a story that's been told before, and we just reviewed it for you again. Bye.